G'day again. In this video we're going to be sketching graphs. Sketching graphs using addition of ordinates. And this is a really useful little tool. Something that a lot of people aren't aware of, using addition of ordinates. Okay, and I'm going to go straight into an example, I think, but I might just give you a little bit of background. Okay, so say you have, I'll do these in different colours. Let's say you've got this function there, which might be, who cares, y equals x minus 1. Then you've got that function there. And let's say you've got some other function here. Let's just do the two simple ones. There, and you've got y equals x squared. Okay, you've got two functions. I probably should have done a different colour. It doesn't really matter. I'll do in the future. I'll do different colours. If you had a function, or you wanted to be able to sketch y equals x squared plus x minus 1. In other words, this plus this, if we wanted to sketch this, then what we could do is look at the two graphs and just add all of the y values together. And so, and that will give you your final function. If you look at it, x squared gives you the y value for that part. X minus 1, this graph gives you the y value for that part. So all you got to do is add them together. So for each individual x value, you look at the y values and add them up together. So I'm just going to take a few here. Okay, I'll look at these pairs of points here and just add them together. Okay, so these all correspond to each other. So for some x value, we're looking at the y values that go together. That one, that one, that one, that one, and this one, this one. Okay, and we're going to see what happens if we add them together, and I'll do it in blue. Okay, so let's have a look at this y value. Let's say this y value, just to give you some numbers on the things, is 2, and let's say that's negative 2 down here, or something like that. And let's say this is negative 3. Just give some numbers. So this is 2. Let's add these values together. That's 2, and that's negative 3. If you add them together, what do you get? You get negative 1. So if we add those two functions together, the resulting value will be somewhere down here. Okay. Here, let's say, so if that's 1 there, let's say that's half, and here we've got negative 2.5. What happens if we add those two together? You'll get negative 2, and so that will be down here. What was that value? That was negative 1. So somewhere down here. Okay. And what about up here? The y value here is 0. The y here value here is negative 2. If you add those two together, you get negative 2. So you get that point there. Okay. And we'll just keep doing it. For every y value, we just add them together. Here, let's just say it's positive 1. Here, it's negative 1. If you add those two together, you get 0. So in there. Here, you've got 0. Here, you've got 2. So you add them together. Oh, what am I saying? Add them together, you get 2. Okay. And if this value is 1 and that value is 3, then you add them together, and it's up here somewhere like that. And so what happens is the resulting function will look, let's just choose another point here and here. The resulting value will be something like there. If you add all these together, the resulting function will look something like that. And so we can sort of see, so down here it'll be probably up here, so it'll come up like that. And that actually makes sense because that's just a quadratic, and that's what it looks like. Okay, so just in summary, what we're looking at is, I'll just delete, I'll go to the new page. What we're doing is looking at the y values of each part, that part and that part, and we're adding them together. And this is not an exact science, this is just to get a feel for what the graph approximately looks like. Okay, and so just in short, let me say this before I get to sketching. If you do have two graphs, and we had that y equals x squared, and we had some function there, that's good. if you have if one of the functions is positive and one function is negative, then when you combine them together, it'll be somewhere in between. That makes sense, because one's positive, one's negative. Add them together, it'll be somewhere in between. If you get both of them positive, then what will happen is that you'll add up. It'll be above. That makes sense. If they're both positive, then when you add them together, it'll be above there. Okay, and there's nowhere on my graph. I'll just do another quick graph. If you've got 2 point and both of your values are below, then your other point will be below both of them. Okay, so in other words, if they're both on the same side of the x-axis, then it'll get further away, so below or above. But if one's positive, one's negative, they'll be halfway in between somewhere, something like that. Okay. Important points to look at for when values are equal to 0 and things like that. They're good points to look at to give you a good indication of where it's going. Let's just do an example. Okay. So sketch y equals cos theta plus sine 2 theta. Okay. Let's have a look at this. Let's get straight into the sketch. And so what we're essentially doing, and I'll underline it and put colours, we're going to have cos theta, and I'll do that in green, and I'll do sine 2 theta in red, and we're going to add those two together. Okay, so nice and big, so get a little bit confusing. Okay, so I'll put in here, and I'll put our 1 here, and -1. Because it's cos theta and sine 2 theta, we can just do our sort of standard 2 pi. So I might do a 2 pi there. So halfway will be pi. There will be 3 pi on 2 and pi on 2. Just do -pi on 2 and -pi out this way. So what do we got? Brain's a bit tired. Sorry. That's 4 pi on 2, 5 pi on 2, 6 pi on 2. Oh, I don't. Yeah, that's right. Etc. That'll do. Okay. So let's sketch firstly in green. We'll do cos theta. Let's just sketch cos theta. Remember, cos theta starts up here at 1 and does a complete cycle. And it should be up at 2 pi. After 2 pi, it should be back up here. Oh, in black. Green. Okay, so it should be up here by then. It'll be at -1 down here at pi, and it'll be crossing through. So it looks like. Sorry, it's not very good, I know. Oh, that's really bad. Anyway, etc. Okay, did I get that right? Yeah, not very good, but yeah. And back in this direction. Like that. Okay, good. So that's y equals cos x. I'll label that. Y equals cos or theta. So I'll just label this axis theta. And this is y, and this is theta. We're just in theta at the moment, not x. Good. And now let's do sine 2 theta. Now, sine 2 theta it means sine, but it's getting squished up. And so it's going to go through the origin. Gee, again, I'm just always messing up the colours. Goes through the origin. Sine 2 theta, it's going to do a complete cycle by pi, so it's been halved. So, in other words, it's going to go, its halfway mark, it's going to be through there. Quarter, it's going to be about there. Here, it's going to be about here. So it's going to be coming up, down, up like that, and I'll keep going. It's hard to do on this tablet, I tell you. You'll have to forgive me for. Oh, that'll do. Okay, and in this direction, it's easy to mark these up. Okay, so something like that. So what we're looking at is we've got those two graphs, and we're just going to add them together. So I'll do my final in blue. Okay, so blue is going to be the addition of those two. I'm just going to add together all the points. and again, this is just rough. Okay, so let's just start here. Okay, this one's equal to 0 and this one's equal to 1. So if we add them together, we're going to get 1. Good. So this is our first point. Yeah. Okay. First point of 1 there. Where's another point here? They're both pretty big, and so they're not quite 2. So if I put 2 on here, then it's going to be here. It's going to be close to being up here. Down here, they're both on 0 at the same time, so that's going to be 0 there. And let's just pick another point there. They're both pretty big there, so it's going to be something like that. We're just adding the y values together. Okay. Again here, I'll just put -2 on here again. Show where we are. At that point there, it's probably a good point. The 0 and that's -1, so if we add them together, it's going to be that. And here, they're both going to be pretty big, so it's about there. There, they're reasonably big, so it's going to be something like that. So at the moment, we're sort of looking at something that goes like this. Ooh, down through here, coming up like that. Okay, so they're sort of both going with each other, so they're making each other bigger. Okay, so we'll keep going. At this point here, they're both at 0, so they're sort of undoing each other, so they're both on 0. Now let's have a look in this section here. So far we had both positive, and so that make when you add them together they get bigger. And here they're both negative, so they make each other more negative. In here something else happens. Okay, so you've got one at 0, one at -1, but then this one goes positive and this one's negative, and so when you add them together they sort of just go to 0. And so like it say, well that's 1 there, and that's almost -1, so that's about there sort of if we add them together. And that point there might be sort of, let me go back a bit, -1, +1, so this is probably a little bit bigger here, but probably about the same, so it's about 0. It sort of peters out a little bit like this, and then if we add them together it's slightly bigger, and then it comes into 0, so it just does a little hump like that. Okay, so again we're just adding the values together. Here in this section we still have one positive and one negative. This one is probably a little bit more negative, so it gets pushed down a little bit in this direction. Okay, and it sort of recovers to sort of like about that. And then at this point here, that is 0 and that is 1, so if we add them together it's going to be up there. So as that gets close to 0, it goes up to this point here, like that. I hope you're following. It is a little bit confusing. It'll take a bit of practice and to do. When you then add, at this point it crosses over, they'll be both up at this point up here. So it's going to continue to go up there. And then again, they're both positive here, and then they're both 0. So it's going to be 0 here, and it's going to sort of come down again like that when we add those two together. Here, they're both negative, and so they both get pushed down. In fact, we're starting to repeat the cycle here. So they'll both be roughly -2 there, and here it's 0, so there it's going to be onto there, so it's going to come down like that. And it's going to sort of repeat what we had there before, which sort of went up and down, that sort of thing. Okay, and that's what the graph looks like. And hopefully this helps you to see. So in blue, that's y equals cos theta plus sine 2 theta. So just a reminder that when they're both positive, it makes it even more positive. So now they add together. In here, both of our graphs were negative, so that makes it more negative. In other words, they add to each other. And in this section in there, we've got one positive and one negative, so it's in between. And so that's the key point here. You're sketching in between. And again, this is not accuracy. This is just the best you can to get a feel of what the graph looks like. Do your best, and hopefully you come out with something nice. It'll always be a curve when you've got sine thetas and cos thetas and things like that. Anyway, do your best, have a go, and enjoy those ones.